Thanks a lot for taking time out of your day today to come here at the midterm town hall meeting. Before Rob gets into his presentation, I want to let you know that at this point in the board's term, 5 months in, we are steadfastly moving away from oversight of day-to-day club operations and trying to focus most of our efforts on club governance. This doesn't relieve the board from its duty of oversight, but builds on our trust of our management team to oversee day-to-day management of the club that will be measured by approved goals and objectives by each of the department directors and general managers, which you'll hear about tonight. This allows the board to oversee performance of the club from quarter to quarter while focusing more of our attention on planning for the future of the club. 7 months into this year, and the new calendar year for Rob, with the new management in place, I'm seeing and hearing positive improvements regarding the upward trajectory of Suntree. We will continue to improve in all departments with a focus on member engagement, satisfaction, and hopefully experience. We are all in this together. Let's continue upward and onward. What Rob will present to you tonight is a snapshot of the financial performance for the first 6 months, capital improvements, the presentation of the 3-year strategic plan, which you could have gotten when you walked in, and if you didn't, please go get one, and operational updates and highlights. It's our hope as your board you are seeing and experiencing this sense of steady operational improvement in your club. Our future is bright. Please feel free to share your comments with any of us as well as members of the management team. You're on, Rob.
Thanks, Mr. Slaughter. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. We're going to jump right into this. As I shared with Phil, I took 115 slides and I pared it down to 17 for you tonight. So, we're going to go through this. I think it's important to share with all of you that these town hall meetings are important for us to get messages out to you and to get information out to you so that you can think about it, email us, meet with us, and we can discuss it in small groups, one-on-one. This is not meant to be a big debate and a soundstage and things like that. So what I'm going to present to you tonight are the facts and where we are through June 30 of this year from January 1. I will give you insight into the operations that we are looking at through December 31 of this fiscal year. I'll also share with you what we've completed on the capital improvement program through June 30, and then what we're looking at until December 31st. We will talk about the 3-year strategic plan that you have in place a little bit more in detail. There was also a copy of the rules and regulations at the top, hard copies if you want to take them. All the information tonight is going to be available online. The 3-year strategic plan will be available after tonight, as well as obviously your updated rules and regulations that the board approved at the July board meeting. So those rules that you have in front of you are currently in effect, and they will be posted. So jumping right into the financials. This is your June 30. For those of you who tried this earlier, I tried to make this as big as I could for you in the back of the room. Total revenues on that top line up here missed by about $97,000 for the first 6 months. The factor going into that was timing of waitlist members entering the club. I know that during my transition to start in January, there's the big influx of people off the waitlist to join. All of them did not see the dues effect until March. So there was a dues lag in there. And then we did have a loss of social members that have bled through. This loss will continue not at that top line number, but the loss in the dues revenue will continue as we move forward. We did talk at the board level that there was decided that the dues loss on the top line would not affect departmental expenses nor the member experience by department. And that loss will be funded by cash that we have on hand at the end of the fiscal year. We also contributing to that loss of $97,000. We lost in green fees, we lost in cart fees, but surprisingly, we also lost in beverage. So I find it really interesting, that correlation between all of you and golf and drinking. So It was really interesting. Food, between a la carte, there's a slight a la carte miss, and then we had banquets that made up essentially zeroed and netted it out to even, but it was really driven by a beverage loss. CapEx dues, which is a little further down, is showing a loss line of $24,000. That's a correlation between the loss in membership by class and the amount of money that they drive in capital dues. What's very interesting is as you go through on the net income, the total net income on the bottom line, we were on the plus side by $103,000. So the operating loss overall was $44,000, and then we made up some additional maneuvers on the bottom, so we had a total net income of $100,000 after the first 6 months. But clearly, we do have room for improvement as we build out budgets going into next year, making sure that our membership class numbers are more accurate, and they are not as aspirational as maybe they were in the past. And we're not planning right now anyways to have any large construction that's going to affect golf play next year that we have to trample around. On the balance sheet, I broke the balance sheet out for you. First page here is the assets. Second page is going to be liabilities. Our cash is down from 12/31 to 6/30 due to capital expense programming and the outlay of the monies. Receivables are down. Those were prepaid dues and December and holiday income on the accounts receivable line. 1.6 million down to 997. Obviously with prepaid dues and big holiday in December, that contributed to those receivables. And PP&E down lower on that, the property, plant, and equipment. You can see we put CapEx programming into service, and that also carries our CIP or construction and progress lines, which is driving that number up into the $18,000. Liabilities on the accrued expenses, that is payroll. That is a December payroll, that's year-end payroll that includes performance-based bonuses and things. The interesting one here, the waitlist initiation fees, you can see it went from 130,000 down to 10,500. So we assumed that difference, but we do have one member that was on the waiting list way back at the beginning of the year that is still in deferral and has not joined the club yet, and that is half of their initiation fee payment. So once they join, they'll pay the other half and they'll become a full equity member. The membership dues would go down to that a little bit of that bottom line in there. That is the contra account to the prepaids. So that balances out. You'll see that our loan payable decreased by about $200,000. That loan is the bank loan for the Palm Restaurant, and that is the principal payment. That does not include the interest payment. The interest payment sits on the income statement, but this is the straight principal payments. Right of use obligations for us, that lease is for the golf carts. And the capital lease payable, that was a lease that the club took out, I forget the time, prior to my arrival, for tennis court lights. So that is why that expense is decreasing. Capital expenses, again, for those of you in the back, what I try to do is put this in working order. So this whole top part that says it's completed, those projects are complete from the top down. We installed a security system here in the Legacy building with all new updated cameras. We installed the kitchen beam, which was part of this previous 2-week shutdown. That beam has been installed. We did AC replacements up top here in the Magnolia room. That unit was $29,700. Palm Restaurant acoustics, that was part of a rollover, but that complete project is done. We did purchase a truck for Dave and the maintenance crew. We installed additional light poles and light pole replacements for cash. Purchased new outdoor bar furniture. So we did buy new umbrellas for the entire pool that came in right before the July 4th holiday. So a lot of those are outside. We did put a couple extras in storage. And then we did buy some additional furniture for pickleball for the sale area, whenever we decide to finish that project. We'll talk about that. Perryweather monitoring system, we leased that program. That's a 7-year lease for Perryweather. Maintenance of the hydro courts, it says here awaiting confirmation. The reason it says awaiting confirmation is that they did complete the work and the resurfacing on Court 4, but that northeast corner of Court 4, Paul and I have been out there a couple times and we're just not happy with the way that it's draining. We know that it was over compressed one cycle back when they resurfaced it. So that entire balance of $12,000 I'm sitting on until they come back and they fix that for us, because that was the reason that we pulled forward resurfacing Court 4 and 5 rather than doing additional courts, 3 and 4, instead of doing courts 5 and 6 that we originally planned on. Kitchen equipment in the clubhouse and kitchen equipment in Legacy, that's in process because we will be picking up pieces. Now that Jeff Lee is on board, there'll probably be a couple, 1 or 2 more pieces before the holidays that arrive. Computer equipment, that's ongoing. There's a line in here for paving, and it says SB. That is for the snack bar. I'm looking for my favorite number. It reminds me every time he drives by. Thank you very much. Yes, that is on our list. I share with you it's on the list. It is there on the list. It is in process. We also have money in here for car pass that we need to get around to for John. Obviously, he's been a little busy right now. Challenge number 2, this bulkhead's interesting. The board approved the bulkhead repair at the July meeting, and what we're finding out, this is where we could use some help, is if any of you know any marine construction individuals that can contact me, we'd really like to get the bulkhead fixed. We can get the work done inside that budget, but we're being told 6 months at a minimum before they can repair that bulkhead. So if anyone knows any marine construction companies, have them contact me or Johnny, and we can definitely take a look to see if we can do that. Interesting one here. I know there's a lot of golfers in the audience. Challenge number 7, pump house. I don't know if any of you have ever seen the pump house on number 7. That entire roof and the wall collapsed. So this is an emergency repair that is just approved and placed on the capital. Big conversation for you tonight on this O&M, which is operations and maintenance, are these last 3 hold items. The last 3 hold items are grounds equipment. So a lot of this grounds equipment, John put the order in over 1.5 years ago that we're still waiting on. All 3 of those numbers total just about $500,000, a little bit more. So what is going in front of the board on Thursday, and it's gone through the Green Committee so far and the Finance Committee so far, is a lease package. John and I met with Toro, which is the big red company, which we have a lot of. We talked with Jacobson, which is the orange company, and we also talked to John Deere. And we asked them for lease proposals for full replacements of the equipment. And John Deere came in, they were the most aggressive, and the lease package is going in front of the board. The lease package is for, including cutting units, 67 pieces of equipment. It will be a 4-year lease for all the high-use equipment, which are all the fairway units, all the rough units, the greens mowers, the tee mowers, and we also have a 6-year piece in there for the tractors and some of the cutting units. So that entire lease package will be going in front of the board. Deere is manufactured here in the good old United States, and we should start, if the board approves, as we anticipate on Thursday, this lease package, receiving a couple pieces by year end, and then the rest of it by the beginning of the first quarter. What we will have is we will have equipment that we currently own that is sitting on our fixed assets. We have that value sitting at about $200,000. And what John is working on is going out to large auction houses and have them come here and take a look at all the equipment, not just what we have sitting on our fixed assets for that value, but also see if there's any salvage value for the pieces of equipment that the depreciation has gone well past its life. And there is definitely some cash value for when we sell it. Openly, we have had some conversations at the Finance Committee about what to do with the cash. I'm not at liberty right now to discuss all the details of it, but we are planning on selling the equipment that we currently use and have here. It is definitely an important maneuver for us, and John, I know, is really looking forward to getting some new pieces that don't break down every day. On the bottom of this is a contingency of 10%, so we still are currently sitting at, or actually at the end, this is actually current, does not, and I apologize, revert back to the end of June. This is actually through current, so we currently are sitting on about $100,000 of contingency work in addition to this, just in case there's some bleed over from some current projects. Again, this is on them. The next page here, this is bigger for the people in the back. This is where the big numbers are at. This is your aspirational capital that was approved last year. Fitness center is complete. The budget was for $40,000. It currently says 0 because we leased the equipment down there to save on cash. The McCumber project is $1.9 million. It says balance at 0 because they spent every penny. So they came back in with the work, asked John and the crew to verify linear footage of drain tile and turf and square footage of turf. So it was, they spent all the money. Legacy building tile purchase and tile install. Those are the numbers for what is completed outside that you walked into the clubhouse on. Obviously, there is some finish work that we need to do, and we also need to get into the walls now and repair and fix the walls and paint the walls, which will be coming here this week and going into the weekend. Pickleball courts, Rob Stone's favorite topic at Suntree. We ran into a little bit of an issue between our site engineer and the subcontractor that poured the asphalt. And apparently the asphalt contractor did not like the pitch that our site contractor had for all of the water to sheet off. So we are very close to getting the resets for the elevations, and we'll just need to move some dirt off of the back over on the other side to the pickleballs from the corner. That pickleball number also includes those next 2 lines, which are the pavers. So those are permeable pavers, and those are designed on purpose so that they will absorb all the water that comes off the hard surface on the asphalt. And tennis shades, those shades, that shade is not the screens, the wind screens, that is actually the shade structure for the triangle area that we're creating some shade seating over there. The next item on there, Meld Studios, that is a design fee for reviewing, building out a starter building on #1 Classic, #1 Challenge. That is a permanent structure as well as a permanent backdrop. So this is just the architectural fees. This is not the bid or anything like that. We're starting to get into the planning going into the future, but that is something that through the strategic planning committee, and we'll talk about that the strategic planning committee was looking at. On the contingency on aspirational capital, there's $16,000 left. It might be tight given pickleball, but it'll be pretty close, and we do have, as I shared, some contingency up top on the O&M to bleed over. That is financials. Does anybody have any question? There's a lot in there. If you do, I'd be happy to meet with anybody afterwards. Yes?
I just had one question, and just to clarify, how many pieces of equipment did you say we were going to lease? Or potentially?
67.
67, that's what I thought.
Now, it's not all riding equipment. It's not all riding equipment.
Right.
There's cutting units that are in there and,
Okay, yeah.
and pieces like that, and we do have staff that work on multiple pieces.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we talked about our financials, and we talked about a couple other meetings about SMART goals. And SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And this is an example of an actual SMART goal. This is food and beverage. There's Jim. Sorry, Jim, I threw you up here. I didn't give them all the lines, but they at least they get a flavor of it. So the SMART goals are set. Coming into the property has a little bit of a disadvantage, but we put together SMART goals to start the conversations going with the department directors to get them to have the concepts, the ideas about what SMART goals look like. SMART goals are typically written along with the budget. So when you talk about what your revenue growth is going to be, what your expense reductions are going to be, there are tie-ins and corollaries that are measurable and achievable and relevant and time-bound. So we measure these at the end of each fiscal quarter. Obviously, we did not measure them in Q1 because they're being written in Q1. So these are also stoplight charts. So red is bad, yellow is cautionary, and green is good. So the top one there, it says meet or exceed food and beverage revenue budget is an annual of 3.5 million. And the note, it's yellow, and it says in here that the beverage sales missed, as we talked about. And we just go right back down the lines. Each of the departments have the same areas that they're focused on. So there's revenue growth, there's payroll, there's membership and club utilization, which is that bottom one right below that blue line. That says for food and beverage, drive membership, engagement through exposing and building upon successful club events. We'll talk about this a little bit on a future slide, but it's green because I know that Jim is talking with Lucy and Jess about building out a pretty big and aggressive social calendar for the remainder of the year. This is the second page, and I just want to show you the depth. This is, again, not all of them, but the rest of this page too is all about membership and club utilization for you. So this is all about building out programming, specific programming, junior programming, family programming, adult programming, and this is truly social stuff in here. There's also training in here for the back of the house staff. So we did bring in our executive chef, Dean Lee, and what we turned into on the culinary operation is a teaching kitchen. So it is set up as a traditional French brigade system. So there's an executive chef, there's sous chefs underneath, and then they have specific culinary staff in specific areas: saute, pantry, garde manger. There's the searing station. So they all work, and then they're all trained up by the chef. So they all go through training and culinary training. So they learn how knife skills, how to chop and slice and dice, and sear and pan sear and fry and saute and cut vegetables and butcher meat and butcher seafoods. We'll get into that in a little bit more. So these are just an example of SMART goals. We will be reviewing these again at the end of the fiscal year. These SMART goals, all the department directors have them, and I have a set. All the department directors, they roll up to mine. I don't have all these numbers, but they all do feed specific lines. And this is how we are judged at the end of the year for our performance-based incentives or bonus programs. 3-year strategic plan. I'm not going to read all of this, I promise. Sometimes people think about strategic plans and they want to know what we're going to build. This is what we're going to build. So they go in lines. It's the first page is a thank you to last year's strategic planning committee and this year's strategic planning committee. I know that this was discussed in the fall of last year. And then what we just did as a committee, we refined it. And we refined it into these 7 pillars. As you can see how the pillars all flow across. There are core strategies, there's strategic issues in here, and these will set and funnel into both the operational financials that we will be talking about at a future meeting for budgets. They also funnel in and feed capital improvements. So we will start digging and diving into these. There's pieces in here that we wrote in for employee benefits and welfare to be an employer of choice in Brevard County and what we can do to drive that. So we will be doing employee surveys as well as member surveys about interactions and what we can do past compensation and benefits. There is a community reach out on that FAR one that gets into charitable drives and charitable contributions on a club basis. Because a lot of us think about charitable pieces that Suntree does as a Monday golf tournament for another group that comes in, and that is not what clubs do from a charity perspective. Clubs on a charity perspective actually do things. So what we are doing is we will be hosting golf tournaments, and we will host them through the strategic planning committee, through the golf committee, with the board's approval to support specific charities and community outreach. We'll also be asking the department directors, myself included, and management staff to reach out into the community, get into Habitat for Humanity, and work in soup kitchens and make contributions that way on behalf of our membership to broaden our reputation and to better our reputation within the community rather than a closed society off of Wickham Road. So some of you, it might resonate as a little hollow. I will tell you that the newer clubs, the best practices, this is key to attract at least conversations for the new members that are coming in, because this is important to them. So they want to feel a part of a community that also gives back, and this is how we are going to be doing it. Inside these pillars, there's member engagement, there's attraction pieces in there, there's planning, there's definitely a financial part, and that first pillar all the way to your left is leadership. It talks about board leadership and committee leadership, and they will be getting into selection processes. It also talks into department director leadership parts, myself and the department directors, and about accountability. And accountability goes up and it goes down. So what we like to focus on here, and the board, as Mr. Slaughter mentioned, is the board is measuring and managing 2 levels down. So for the board, their management reviews are me, and then the department directors. My management reviews are my department directors and the management. The department directors, Jim, his management review are his managers and his line level staff. And that is 2 levels down all the way down, and then it reverses all the way back up as well. So that is how a lot of this ties together. There's a lot of moving parts. It is relatively new to Suntree, so we're walking through this with the strategic planning committee. One last part about the strategic plan, not to beat this, but this is also going to feed your performance excellence survey this year. We met with Chambers Group last week. They have a copy of this, and this is going to frame and format your performance excellence survey as we move forward. That is, we're getting away from if the soup is hot and specific projects and how much ice you want in your drinks. Your performance excellence survey is going to be a higher level piece. Chambers has banks of questions that they'll be sending over to the strategic planning committee. They will be reviewing it, and they'll be sending out for review to the board what the performance excellence survey looks like. We are starting early, and we're starting early on purpose because it's going to take time to work through the host of questions. But we are hoping to be able to get this out to all of you in January. So we want you all to enjoy the holidays and get through the holidays. We want to capture the people who are traveling, and then hopefully get you at a really good time after the holidays and take the performance excellence survey. Getting into any questions on the 3-year strategic plan, what your expectations were, anything like that? Okay, operational updates, quickly go through the departments. Greens and Grounds operations update. You may have heard whispered out of the Green Committee, out of the board, out of the Golf Committee, we're taking an agronomics first approach. And what that means is that the quality of the grass, the application of aerifying, mowing, cutting, and taking the time for the grass to heal comes first before golf play. And I know that that is controversial, and I apologize, but for any of you who have missed the Fairways and Facts part and did not watch it, I encourage you to come back when we host it again, and we will be hosting again probably, John, October, after the next test. So we'll be doing soil testing again, and I want all of you to understand that the soil that is underneath the grass on the greens is going to be completely rebuilt through all the sand and all the aerifications and all the dry ejecting that we're doing. And we need to allow John and his team to get in there to do the work, and we need to get in there so that they can heal as well. The good news is Classic, of course, when that comes back online, we won't touch that until April of next year to take it offline. And then Challenge has one more big aerification coming as soon as Classic comes back online. But we will continue to aggressively top dress on Monday afternoons. We will continue to verify certain areas to build out turf density and change out composition. We talked about the John Deere equipment already. We are implementing best practices. So I am pulling from my bank. I'm also talking with my peer group, and John is speaking with his peer group, and we are bringing in, as I've shared with all of you, and John has too, Todd Lowe, who is a USGA rated agronomist. He's hosted championships to help consult us in best practices and turn this around. Verifications, course closures for maintenance, we touched on. Aggressive top dressing. I want you to be prepared when you leave here. What we mean by that is not a dusting. So you will be seeing sand on the greens when we do need to do this. We're not saying every week, but when we need to aggressively top dress, that is exactly what it's going to be looking like. Mowing frequencies. Mowing frequencies that we talked about. Classic course is getting additional mowing done every week, and additional rakings, and additional bunker maintenance, and additional pond maintenance over Challenge. That was a purposeful decision that we made operationally to protect the investment of the nearly $2 million that we just put into Classic, and to try to ramp that up and to get those playing conditions better for all of you. Firmer fairways, firmer, more consistent playing conditions on the greens, so that we can share with you and show you what your money and the impact was. And if any of you have seen Classic, and I do apologize for being offline for this last aerification when those two big storms came through, you could have been playing golf the next day. That's the impact of all that drainage that you put into Classic. When we're playing Carpath only, lift clean place, you'd be playing regular golf or on Classic. So I'm sure that we're going to have those push-pull conversations on, Rob, when are you going to do Challenge next? So it's already started in the board meetings. Repair thin turf areas, tee to green. This is going to be constant. So what we don't like to see when you see me walking the greens and John walking the greens, we don't want to see the black. So all we want to see is green turf. For us, it doesn't matter what color green. I know for some of you, you love that Kelly green, that emerald green, that Augusta green. We're looking for turf and turf densities so that we don't see dirt. Detail work. Detail work is important. It's going to be important to John as we move forward. Line trimming work, pond bank maintenance, bunker face maintenance, getting teams out there, getting aggressive with it. I know some of you over the weekend driving through Classic and you see the leaders coming down the bunker faces wanting to know what's going on. It's really okay. The course is offline. We'll get in there, we'll trim it up. What we want to see is that constant maintenance while it's in playing conditions for you. So when it is going through a maintenance phase like this, it does look like it's beat up. We tried to warn everybody on the Fairways and Facts, but it gets chewed up pretty good when we go through really aggressive aerifications, and then we allow the leaders and some of the faces and the leading edges of the pond banks and the bunkers to grow in. Did you do a good job, John? Yeah. Golf operations. Focus on member engagement, first impressions, moments of truth upon arrival. This has to do with outside services. This has to do with the golf operations staff. Are they greeting you? Are they saying hello? Are they friendly? Are they making that first attempt to say hello to you or your guests and make you feel welcome? Mike and Austin put into place a complete training program. Is a classroom style training program, and we are really trying to look and work on this and measure this as we go forward. It is definitely going to be something that is important to all of you as we bring guests and we're getting into that fall golf season. Tracking and promoting guests of the board. This has been interesting one, a little bit of deja vu for me. We have here guests of the board. The eligibility is right below here, and it says open to professional golfer or tennis player who has active status on one or more of the following tours. So it's the PGA Tour, the Korn Ferry Tour, the LPGA Tour, the Epson Tour, the PGA Champions Tour, and the heralded Live Golf Tour. Also, to cover tennis, we have the ATP World Tour and the WTA World Tour. So our example has been through Paul on the tennis side, and hopefully all of you are receiving them. When he is traveling with Laura, they're going to the US Open next week. When they were over at Wimbledon, they're just up in Cincinnati, that we are promoting Laura. Paul, we have assembled a group with Paul and supported him in taking that one step further. So in Wimbledon and Cincinnati, Paul hosted a Suntree Country Club members dinner in London and one in Cincinnati. And you just got a post today, right, Katie? Asking if anybody's traveling up to New York, up to Queens. Probably gonna host a dinner over in Manhattan for Suntree Country Club members that are traveling for the US Open. What we've also been doing is promoting Laura. And you've been seeing the posts on Facebook and through emails. We're charging Mike with the same duties, someone in his staff, to track and promote the guests of the board that are all active tour players in these tours, so that we can notify you of what events they're playing in, where are they playing, what's their ranking, how are they doing, and start sharing that information. In return for that, we are meeting, myself and Mike and our membership directors back in the back, with each of these guests of the board, touring professionals as a group. And in return for that, they are going to start promoting Suntree Country Club on their social media pushes. Say, hey, can't wait to get back home. It was great to see Suntree Country Club members come cheer me on, come to the Open, come watch me at the Wichita Open. And then also for them to participate in clinics here. Men's clinics, women's clinics, junior clinics, give speeches to the SLGA, the men's groups, and to get them really formatted within the membership. Because right now, we have them as members, but we're just trying to refine and get them involved actively in everything that we do. This has been wildly popular at two of my prior clubs. We have met, Laura is on board with this. We just met with Daniela Iacovelli last week, and she is completely on board with it. She was actually thrilled, came up with a lot of different ideas, and then we'll be meeting with each of the players for the next couple of weeks. So that is important for us, so you should start seeing a lot more promotions on that. Golf cart fleet maintenance and registration process. It's going in front of the board this month. The board is going to got a lot going on Thursday. In addition to the greens and grounds equipment, going in front of the board is a proposal to renew our EasyGo cart fleet. So what that means for all of you is that they will all be brand new 2025 EasyGo golf carts with the PACE system, which is the GPS and the geofence and the prairie weather. They'll all be part of the new golf cart fleet. It is going in front of the board. It is cleared through the golf committee and the finance committee so far. We're anticipating that fleet, if the board approves it, to be here on site December, Mike. So we'll do an entire golf fleet flip in December. I am operationally a little disappointed with the condition of the fleet for a lot of different reasons. So what we need to do is start registering these carts. So the starters will start taking down your name, they already have your name, and they'll be posting the number on your golf cart as you go out, so that when we get it returned back to us, that's in the same condition that we're giving it to you in. We understand that we have a responsibility for the seats. God bless Hobie the cat. If anyone would like Hobie the cat, looking to donate, seriously, Hobie the cat can rehome Hobie before December. EasyGo has been kind enough to overlook the damage that Hobie has done for 95 golf carts. Every golf cart that we have has been scratched by the cat. So Dave has a project for me to find a way to enclose the cart barn, first of all from the elements, but also to keep all the wildlife out. But EasyGo did do us a favor by not charging us the repairs on the seats, which is significant, as well as the dings, the damages, the cigarette burns, the cigar burns, and the gouges that are in the sides of the golf cart fleet. To put this in perspective, this golf cart fleet, if we purchased it tomorrow, would be over $1 million. I know that we like to look at golf carts as they zip down Wickham and up and down St. Andrews, but we invest significant dollars in giving you good things to use. And as much as you expect me to use your money and spend your money wisely and hold the staff accountable for breakage and waste, this is that upside and the downside. So please, with your guests and members, treat it as if it's better than your own in some cases, please. Merchandising focus. Mike has done a great job since he's arrived here in building out your merchandise in the shop. What we are looking to do is expand it. We're not looking to drive everybody into buying G4. I want to be absolutely clear with that right now. What we are looking at is creating different price points and adding different price points in between. We'll drive the value propositional parts, and we'll drive that high end. Maybe it's a Christmas shirt that you get for your father, your father-in-law type of purchase as well. But we want to run all the ranges on them. We want to get into accessories. We want to really try to broaden out what your interests are. So you'll start seeing a lot more of that as we move forward. Food and beverage operations update. Continued focus on introducing high quality products. Fresh seafood. So we are buying and only stocking fresh seafood as it comes in, with the exception of frozen shrimp and some of the standards. But all of your main proteins that are seafood based, the sea bass, the grouper, the snapper, it is all coming in fresh. In most cases, we are butchering it here. So a lot of the tuna that we've been getting in, that you have been really consuming at a high rate, that is coming in on full sides, and we are butchering it here, and that goes back into Chef Dean and Greg Abate teaching the culinary staff on how to butcher and break down proteins and seafoods. We are buying fresh produce. We are getting into vine-ripened tomatoes. We increased our quality of our beef program. We also, I know that a lot of you consumed a high level of prime filet mignon last week with the bone marrow that I heard great feedback on. Again, it's a special. It will be available from time to time as a special, but we are really trying to introduce to you some really better, higher quality products across the board. Our food costs that we budget everything on is 45%. That will not change. But spending a little bit more money for a fresh pound of tuna is not going to drive that price up $10. So if you feel as if there's an issue with pricing on food specifically, feel free to stop me. I'll be happy to have conversations, be happy to research it. But we are very conscious about value-driven items. As we talked about merchandise in the pro shop, the value proposition in food and beverage is actually to the extreme, even higher exponentially in what we need to do. because we need to hit all those value propositions for you. Back of the house training, truly, Dean Lee, who brought him on, he has a deep background in, and very accomplished chef, worked in Michelin-rated restaurants. I know he's a little bit of an extrovert, but for an introvert, is a tremendous guy. He brought on Greg Abate, who's our sous chef. Greg spent 14 years up at the Wisconsin Club and has, as the executive chef, has tremendous experience. Moved down here to be with his family. Through the two of them, they're really working very well with the culinary staff and the brigade. And I can tell you that the morale there has really switched over and changed, and very happy about that. Focus on the member experience and value propositions. As I talked about, they're really important to us. Driving into all the club events, all the golf events, all the tennis events. We are here to support you. We're not here to take all the money out of your wallet and your pocketbook. We really want you to give it to us freely on a lot of different scale of events and social programming and athletic programming. We are making a conscious effort to hire experienced food and beverage leadership and management teams. So I know that you're familiar with Trent Horry, who's been a tremendous add for us. With his background, he's been just a gem to work with. We just hired on Joe Kinney, who came over from the Lowe's in Orlando. Joe will be working directly for Trent and Jim and be filling in as a manager on the floor and membership experience and membership training with the staff. On the membership and club side, we hired on Jess Akey, brought Jess Akey over from the zoo. Jess was the catering director for the zoo. She decided to slide down a couple blocks south and come work for us. Her focus goes into this last bullet point on food and beverage, which is an absolute focus on member event creation and implementation, because it needs to be the centerpiece in social activity at the club. We are aware of the social memberships that we lost. I can go on for a good amount of time on why we lost them, but we need to create a lot of social programming. I know that Jim and Lucy and Jess are putting out, and hopefully you saw it today, that calendar is definitely starting to grow. You'll start seeing a lot more programming the deeper we get into September, the deeper we get into October. We're bringing in a lot of different events, no cost, low cost events, bringing in more junior programming, junior ideas, adult programming, men's only, women's only, groups. So we will be hitting all the price points again for all the club events that we're looking at. Again, we're not looking for you to attend every single one. We appreciate that. We truly do if you want. I think it's lovely. But what we are trying to do is hit every type of membership that we have here, rather than just an easy group or an easy rollout for an event, because we did it last year. So my goal, our goal, is to really take what we did last year, take the surveys, take the information, and make it a little bit better. Racket Sports operations update. We created and promoted Paul and formalized his role as our director of Racket Sports. He was our head tennis professional before. As an independent contractor, he is currently on salary, on staff with us, so he is benefiting from the benefit package that we offer, and it's more inclusive for him to drive. He sits in on our staff meetings, obviously, but he is also now overseeing and directing and working with Mr. Brightfeller, who is here in the room, who's our Racket Sports chair, writing the agendas and driving those programming. We did hire a pickleball head professional. He does tour. He is a professional pickleball player. He has created all types of pickleball programming. We do have a lot of social programming through pickleball, men's leagues, women's leagues, mixed leagues, and junior programming that we will be coming out with once we get the pickleball courts up online. Focus on Racket Sports retail management. We talked about expanding out golf. We really need to do a huge and much better job on Racket Sports. Mike has been working with Paul on racket sports. Paul and I have been working with identifying when he comes back from the US Open, we'll start putting into the shop a person that will man that desk. If any of you have been in there, we did paint it. We're gonna change out some of the fans. We'll change out some of the lights and make it a little bit more inviting for you. But we will be putting on more retail pieces in there. We will be doing soft goods, hats. We'll be doing shirts, t-shirts, shorts, socks. We will be having access to shoes at our pricing rather than the big box store pricing, which should benefit all of you. Upgrades to facilities, walking paths, fencing, landscaping, and the overall appearance. That is all coming with pickleball. I'm tired of talking about pickleball. I'm sure you're tired of hearing about pickleball. Once it's done, the landscaping on the east side of Country Club Drive is going to be completely different. John and his crew are installing irrigation from the corner of Country Club Drive in St. Andrews all the way down to the circle, the roundabout. So that roundabout will now be irrigated all the way down. And that is all gonna get brand new, fresh landscaping. There are vertical pieces that are going in there, palm trees and things like that. And then John also has a plan to install palm trees and landscaping in the south tennis parking lot, as well as the member parking lot out here where you're doing that all at the same time, right, John? Yeah, so we're doing all that at the same time, all that landscape. So we'll put more vertical landscape in this members lot, which is right out front, which is all part of John's operational budget, which will blend over into the capital pickleball program. Personnel focus, I promise I'll get to the end. This is all about member engagement and member experience are paramount in everything that we do. So it needs to be our primary focus on how we plan, how we schedule, how we get ahead of all of the schedules that you are looking at. We are trying to get 90 days out for all the social programming and all of the athletic programming. And what that means is getting into the detail. What does the menu look like? What's the playing format look like? What's the entry level price look like? Are the prizes, are there tea gifts? How does it all affect the member and how are we getting there? Accountability and respect within staff has to go hand in hand as we go forward. It is really good. The interaction between the members and staff is really good. And what we're really trying to do is just drive that home. So we are not perfect. We know that. And I will tell you that we are going to fail. I don't know when, and God, I hope it's not bad. But we're going to miss every once in a while. And we are not doing it intentionally. So when we do, please let us know. But please understand that they didn't make a mistake. I didn't make a mistake to make it personal against you. We are doing our best. We are running a business. There's a lot of you here. We do affect a lot of people. So just please keep that going. We do reach out to all of you. Our closing reports. I get a closing report every night in golf, and so does Mike for the closing individual in golf, and it's written up. So we do know the interactions that you do have on the course with the marshals, with the starters, with the beverage cart girls, staff, and as well as the internal staff, and questions that you have about access to the website. We also have that same closing report inside food and beverage. So we do get the interactions that you have on food and beverage. I do get the misses. We do get that in our inbox at the end of every night. So before I walk in the morning, walking across that parking lot, I already know how last night went if I wasn't here at 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock at night. It is in writing. It is a diary. We keep it. We refer back to it. And hopefully none of you are in here that have gotten the letters of caution from me in the past, but that is really how they start. So they start through the member interaction, then they flow up. It is getting much better. The complaints that are coming across my desk are minimal. They're more high-level questions. The interactions that we're having with you are much better. They're phenomenal. And I cannot thank you enough for making that concerted effort as we go forward. Staff training and mentorship in all the departments. We are getting into classroom style training, testing the staff. We are getting into mentorship programs, continuing education programs for the staff. I want them to leave. I want our staff to leave. And you need to hear from me. I want them to leave to go somewhere else and to fulfill their dreams. I don't want them to feel as if they need to be here their entire life. If they are, I want them to be properly compensated. I want them to be happy. I want them to be able to put their children through school and to be able to retire. But we need to make sure that we embrace all of them and that we support them if they have dreams that are past Brevard County, if they're past 300 Country Club Drive. We need to be able to push them. We need to be able to get them to grow, because that is the only way that I and that staff are going to be able to attract more staff, is by our staff, 189 staff members that we have here, part-time and full-time, going out into our community telling us how great working at Suntree Country Club is, how great the staff is, how close they work together, how wonderful the interactions are between the staff and the membership. And they get to watch your kids grow up. They get to watch your weddings. They get to watch the bar mitzvahs and all the celebrations and all the holidays. That is what you want. That is what I want, and that's the type of club that I want to work at and work for. And when that all starts coming together, and you will start feeling it if you're not already, you will feel it by the holidays, you will definitely feel it by the time we get together again. But that development of Suntree culture and the staff unity is paramount. We cannot, I cannot, you cannot do anything here at the club without a fully engaged and happy staff. Way too much for us to do. And they are very important to us. You are important to us. You keep the lights on. You pay our payroll. You take care of our families. We appreciate that very, very much. And it's a true interrelationship that's important for all of us as we move forward. And I love working here. I love working with the staff. I think that the future that we have here is phenomenal. We have done a lot in the last 7 months. I've been given a gift from the prior board. I've been given a gift by Steve for the programs and the implementation. It's been a lot of work. It's been challenging, but it's been a lot of fun to watch this. We are not done yet. Your book, your chapters have not been written. And I can't wait to help be here with you as we continue to go forward. Rules and regulations, as I mentioned, they're out, they're distributed. They have been compressed. Some of the antiquated don't take food home from the buffets. Brian Murtha's favorite in the back. We did take that out. I was going to leave it in for you, Brian. I figured we wouldn't. If you do have any questions on the rules and regulations, feel free to stop me, stop the department head, but they're pretty straightforward. There's no gotchas, there's no surprises in there. We really just went through and cleaned it up. I think it's down to about 12 pages now, which is a much more manageable number, and the table of contents all match up. I am here for as long as you want me to stay tonight. I'll answer any questions in a general setting, in a group setting, individual. Does anyone have any questions about where we were, where we're going, future? Yes.
Rob, you know I'm going to be quiet. We've been a single club membership because of all the work you're doing on the golf course for 8 months. We're doing shotguns Friday and Saturday, which is killing your beverage budget.
Yep.
My one question is very simple. Are we going to be closed on Mondays for the rest of the year or forever?
I am not.
So what?
So we have had this conversation multiple times. I am not putting an end date on Monday closures. Not. The lack of beverage revenue, the lack of green fee revenue is truly tied to the classic renovation and the extended aerifications that we went into. I know that we're only planning on one set of aerifications on each, the classic and on challenge. But when we got the soil report back, we needed to go after 2. So we understand still what the risk is, but that is the direction that we're going in. We need to get this golf course back because it will cost you a lot more money if we have to replace those greens and get into the substructure in there. It's going to be a lot more. It's going to be deep 7 figures if we do that. Yes?
All the work that was done on the classic course, what has that done, if anything, to extending the life of the greens so that they won't be on the normal 25 type year cycle?
So greens typically, we're not going to get away from the 25-year cycle. That'll always be a topic. What we want to do is get out of the conversations about every 10 or 15. So we want to push that out. The work that we did on Classic for the renovations didn't touch any of the greens. The aerifications, the significant aerifications, the dry jecting, the last 2 closures, that is the impact that you will see. So when Classic comes back online, 3 weeks, John, till they're nice and healed up and rolled out. So I'd give it about another 3 weeks until we get some good roll on them. The goal of the aerifications is to get the putting surfaces firm enough that when we roll them with the greens rollers, they hold that. Because prior to these aerifications, we would roll them on Thursday. By Saturday, if you saw it when the sun was coming up, you can see the undulations. That's just body weight and your footprints. You're not, when the soil is true and it can be compacted properly and still drain well, that will hold the rolls. So you will start seeing a benefit this fall. You'll start seeing firmer fairways, which mean they will roll out farther for you. So you'll probably be playing a different club, or you might be mid-club going in. It's going to play different for you. But as we go through into next year about the aerifications, we'll go into the normal aerification schedule May. Week shutdown on each, because we are planning right now, talking about dry jecting and aggressive aerifications. We'll run the summer as normal, as you're used to with both courses, and then we'll do another double aerification in the fall. They'll take 3 weeks for each course to be taken offline and healed back up. Anybody else?
Hey,
Mr. McHale.
Mr. McHale, yes. Been here a member since 1980, one of the oldest. And I think you're doing a great job. I think you made a great presentation tonight. But you've been here for 7 months, and I really don't think that you're in a position to tell us what our culture is.
So, with full respect,
It's just a comment.
I will push back on, yes, I will drive your culture. And yes, I will help steer the culture of this club. We have 180 something employees, and they are extremely influential to your overall enjoyment of the club. And yes, I will help set guardrails and follow the guardrails about the membership culture, because I will not be disrespected. I will not allow the membership or the staff to be disrespected. I will not allow you to disrespect each other. And that has to go hand in hand with culture and expectations. So if you took my presentation, if that went a little too far, I apologize if you misread into it, but absolutely on all accounts. Yes?
I would just say in response to that respect is a two-way street. If we want to get off into it, then for us as members, there are things that could be done better to let everyone, because you're telling us that the employees appreciate what we do for them is one thing, but them showing us is completely different. So I would just say that, and you're correct, but however, respect is a two-way street, and let's keep that as a top priority.
Absolutely agree. And I encourage you that if you are in a position that you are uncomfortable and you are disrespected by a line level staff or a manager or a department director, give me a call, drop me an email. I'll be happy to learn about it and to talk to you about it And I will tell you, I think that all of you are starting to understand me well enough. I will take corrective action. Yes?
Can something be done about the backdrop area, an improvement there? The bags can be dropped and the cars can be pulled over?
Can something be done with the backdrop area? Can you be a little more specific, Doctor?
Because the way the backdrop area is located, it's difficult for the cars to come in there and drop their bags.
Yes, sir. Okay, so it's the location of the backdrop?
Yes.
So it's effectively that we don't have one. And that is on this aspirational capital piece, which is what we talked about earlier, is for us to investigate what the cost would be to build a formal backdrop area, which would be on the curbside right outside the snack bar, as well as the same style building out on number 1, on Challenge and on Classic, to house our staff, to give them some type of permanent shelter out of the sun. They'll be able to have electric in it, to blow some fans, some internet access. But there is discussion between Mike and I and the golf committee right now about this is first impressions again, right? So you being able to pull up and hit the trunk button, goes up, we get your bag out. Or your guest pulls up, right now they don't know where to go. So the idea is when you pull right in off a Country Club Drive, that you drive right up, and it will literally be straight in ahead of you. And that is the idea with the backdrop structure that's in here for architectural planning, as well as the starter building for number 1 on both courses. Anyone else? Yes.
Rick Pollack here. I want to address the issue of scheduling, please. I just took on a job and I'm working full time. I love to play golf, but I look at the schedule and I see all these tee times with dummy players. You know, I see ABC, I see CD, I see guest date, I see guest this, and a lot of them are the same people every day. They want to play alone. They put in all these dummy people.
Yep.
And why don't we address that? Why don't we take care of that? I mean, it's
So-
frustrating for me to try to
So
get-
you're telling me that there's something wrong with your culture? In all seriousness, I'm sorry. Touche. In all seriousness, we're aware of it. Mike's aware of it. The pro shop is aware of it. Pat Waters was here. He's aware of it. The golf committee is aware of it. We're trying to work through how to intervene on that. There have been conversations. We haven't refined it yet, to be honest with you, because some of it is legitimate, as far as placeholders for they're waiting to hear back from a guest or two. But I do appreciate that a lot of it are placeholders for people who never materialize.
Yeah, I mean, Mickey Mouse is probably things like that.
Yeah. So Mike did remind me, Mike's just saying up front, Mike did remind me that he is tracking no-shows. So if you are part of that group that are doing placeholders and never showing up, you can talk to Mike. He takes $100 bills only. He'll be happy to help you through that. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we're just trying to work through it. So we need some more information to be able to work through it. Yes. Mr. Rozak, I hear you're not going to be here for the Bills-Dolphins game.
But I will be in Buffalo eating a big beef on what.
All right.
So, in your presentation, I heard something that I thought was really great. The fact that we're going to have professional golfers coming in here and giving us presentations and all that. But then I also heard you put a clause in there relative to maybe only for the men's group and versus all of us who pay membership dues for golf. So I hope that when we have these golfers come in and do the presentations, they're available not only for a small part of the golf membership, but the whole membership.
No, and I appreciate that. No, so if I did say that, I misspoke, but it's going to cover all membership for clinics, for speeches, and yeah, we're going to. there's a lot of different ways to get them involved. Anyone else? One more.
One more thing. Cigars in the clubhouse. Can we please get some more cigars for people that come out to play golf?
More cigars, so
Yeah. So right now, I believe we have like one line of cigars. Can we like open up, the door to have different cigars in the pro shop?
sure. Yeah, you just want a larger selection?
Yes. That'd be nice.
Yeah, we can do that. You have access. Anyone else?